A heartfelt welcome here to everybody who is live with me this evening. I'm very honored that you are all here, that you made it so far, and that you cut out a little bit of space of your for sure busy lives. This material, A Course in Miracles, that we are going to talk about today, is a very complex topic that has been with me now for more than 10 years. I think I discovered it in 2014. And funny enough, it's one of the materials that is so present in my life, but talking about it in public, I have postponed it and postponed it and postponed it for many different reasons. But as I started again to go through the lessons, through these 365 lessons per day, and I started in October last year, and it's my 4th round, and I realized how much in these many years this material and this message has become part of who I am. And remembering how strange it was at the beginning and how weird to change all of these concepts or to read about these concepts. When I realized how much it was already in my life and how much it helped me all these years to navigate through the challenges of life and everything that's going on, I just decided, well, I just have to put it out there, and then everybody can, of course, then do what you feel like and how it resonates to you. It's not about learning something new. It's really more unlearning the things that keep us away from freedom, peace, love, to make us aware of these two spectrum of love and fear that are the core emotions on which all the other emotions are based on. And also to make us aware that we can choose. Many things are so unconditioned, or let's say so conditioned already in our way of thinking, that we are not even aware what we are really thinking and what we are creating with this kind of thoughts, of approaches and attitude. And it's really once we become only aware of it and then can choose again what we are doing, then the world becomes a whole other adventure. Okay, so this is what I'm going to guide you through a little bit, that it makes sense, because the Course in Miracles is a very complex material. It's this book I started in 2014-13 and went 3 years in a row, every day a lesson. And as it is so complex and it's so heavily Christian Catholic imprinted in text, not so much in the meaning, it's very difficult that we can go through this on our own. So I was very lucky to have Marianne Williamson back then, and she's still around, who is doing weekly talks on the course, or at least she did it back then. And so she was helping us all to translate this quite heavy text into modern language and into a more psychological language rather than a religion-based language. Because what it really is, it is all religious including. It's kind of rewriting what religion have been transmitting us or making us believe, and which is quite deep in our core belief. Many of the belief patterns, we are not even aware that they are so deep in us. It's actually a channeled material, and you know that there are quite a few channeled materials out there. It was in between 1964 and 65 and 1972 that the psychologist and psychiatrist Helen Schucman received the first sentences and material of this text. And the text is, as I said, quite based on Catholic Church material. And Helen Schucman is a Jew, or was a Jew. And thank God she had her colleague, Dr. Bill Thetford, who was by her side all those years and helped her to put all of this channel text down, organize it, and then publish it. It's really amazing when you read her words, when you get to see or investigate in the net about her and how she explains she was getting all these texts. So, you know, imagine you are sleeping, you're waking up, and you are getting all these text, voices, sentences that do not make sense to you, but it keeps coming. And you kind of have no way to escape from it. So she eventually decided to put it down and share it with the world, and it was published in 1976 and out there since then. So there is a workbook with 365 lessons for every day, and it doesn't mean that you have to do it every day, but they are just these 365 lessons that you can distribute as you want. There is a manual for teachers, and there is the core message, and this is very important because it's a complex text, a complex writing, but the message is very simple. It's an invitation for us to become aware the quality of our thoughts, which then are the foundation for what we speak and what we do, and become aware that they are just moving like life between two polarities, fear and love, and all the gray zones in between. So it is an invitation to become aware how most of our thinking and of our concepts and belief patterns are based on this fear, based that we are separate from each other, based that we have to earn love. Those of us who have been raised in a Catholic household or other churches and religion, that we are born already with a sin, or that we are already not good enough. So really this constant fear of being punished or creating judgment and separation ourselves when we are not even aware of it. And for sure, none of us really wants to create that. So really rising this awareness first, which then brings us the opportunity, the freedom and the responsibility to think again and to choose again. So this is kind of the main message. I have to really structure it because it's so much, and I do not want to lose you. I will go through three of the lessons that we find in the book, so you get an idea what we are talking about. In the first 20 lessons, which are kind of a little bit the hardest one because they're very dry and they're very weird. The first 20 lessons, more or less 25 lessons, help us realize that everything we see, all the names we give, the objects we see, everything that is so granted for us and normal to our thinking is a result of our projection, is a result of what we have been taught and that we do not even doubt or question. So it's really about unlearning, making us aware what we are thinking, how we are seeing the world, and kind of a little bit unlearning. So it's all about the chair you see is not what it is, the tree there is, it's not what it is. So it's the most tricky part where we can easily get lost and we can just give it up and say, I don't know, this is really boring, or I don't see the sense behind it. But if you just go through them, and you do not even have to believe it, but you do the lessons every day, and then you come to the lessons after 25 and 30, you will get into the juicy part of it. You will get into the parts where you really start to understand this huge distinction between fear-based and love-based concepts, thoughts, actions, and words. And the essence that we are, the remembering of what we are, not that we have to come here and earn something, not that we are here on this world and we have to fix something, not that we have to be good so that we will be rewarded afterwards, after life, but that everything is already here and that it is in our hands what we do with it and what we choose in between these two polarities of fear and love. So one of the first sentences that I would like to share with you of the lessons that you will see when you start, and if you are curious to go more into the material, is love holds no grievance. Love holds no grievance. Grievance has nothing to do with grief. Grievance is another word for complaining. So, becoming aware of our inner chatting, yeah, not even talking about what we are saying and sharing with others, but when we become aware what we are all complaining about, or what we are all stuck on, what did not go right, or what this friend didn't do the way we should, or why the world is this way that it is, and all this war and all this injustice and all my neighbors, how they are treating me, and the dynamic in my family, all of these things are grievances. And these grievances or complaints are clearly based on fear, separation, kind of the foundation of creating war, as war is a stronger form of separation, of fear. And becoming aware when we realize that, because it will be weird first, we say, what, I'm not creating war, when I'm just stating that this is not okay and this is unjust, and I do want to see a just world. But once we understand that love, pure love, is not dealing with that, will not keep giving energy to these complaints and these kind of thoughts, then we will not just keep going on without thinking. We will maybe pause and we'll maybe see why we think like this, or what do I see here. We will maybe hesitate before we speak about it, just unfiltered about our grievances and all the many things that we do not agree in this world. And maybe have a look if and how we could change it. And especially at the beginning, it's like, I cannot change that. I do not agree. It makes me upset. I am angry. And or I am jealous. And this is okay too. So it is really such a radical shift and a radical division between fear and love. And everything in between can be guided back to one of these core feelings, that it really is triggering. It challenges us. And this is one of the core results of when we get into this material. It makes us think. It makes us maybe go into contrary reaction, pushing it away, not agree with what we read and hear. But it's really just this steering something up that has been so fixed all these 50 years that we are on this world, or 30 years or 25, and realizing, oh my God, I have been just blindly going through the world and life, just assuming that what I have been taught by society, family, church, myself, from a certain age on, it's just ourselves. We are the society who keeps teaching and giving me something that I just assume this is how the world functions, that there is competition, that the stronger is winning, that I will be punished when I do a mistake, and all of these little belief patterns that take the peace away from our inner landscape, and so then we cannot share peace with the world around us, because we cannot share what we do not have ourselves. So when this love holds no grievances is kind of an invitation to forgiveness. And even if we do not believe in this moment that I really forgive this person, or I forgive this politician, or this family member, or this member in the community, but just see, if I keep thinking this, I create as much war as politician with power out there. And really bringing the focus inwards and going to the core, as we are all part of this world and we all together create the world. So what we see out there, as unpleasant as it is, but it's the result of our conscious thinking and behavior pattern and supporting systems and belief patterns that are based on this fear and on this separation and on this ultimate not feeling safe and not being safe. So this is this love holds no grievance. You can see I have started to understand it when I understood how harsh I judged myself. I was never content. It was never enough. No class was enough. No email was enough. No reaching out was enough. None of the books that I had created was enough. Always it was not enough. It was yes, but you could have. So once I realized that it started right away there with me, myself, not even integrating other people in my life, I was this huge kind of shock and like, oh my God, I'm doing it all the time, in every single minute during a day, that I create this grievance, that I create these judgments, that I create this separation, and that I really believe I'm not enough, and therefore I also judge others quite well, and am quite harsh also in my expectations of other people. When I realized that, then something else opened, and then I went another round, and it continues since then. So don't be surprised when you start with this material and all you feel is a lot of resistance. It's okay. Just keep going. Do the lessons. Read them. You will forget them maybe. Others will stick with you. With some of them, you can also be several days. But just know, first of all, it might stir up a lot of resistance. And this is okay. Then another lesson that is quite interesting, very powerful, where it goes into the false belief of separation, and that I'm somebody who has to earn the goodness and then will eventually be rewarded once I'm dead, or whatever I'm believing, is that I am as God created me. I am as God created me. And I'm not talking here of God from a church that is looking down to us. I'm talking of God as the expression for the mystic of life itself. Okay? You can always at any time replace any word and interpret it with your own language. I use God, and in the text God is used a lot as an expression for life's mystery. So I am as God created me, which means I'm totally perfect, which means I do not need to do anything. There is nothing to do. There is nothing to improve. We are all one. Everything is already there. All of these sentences that often can come across very cheesy, especially in the spiritual world. When you move yourself in the spiritual world, people throw around with these sentences a lot. But if you go to the core of them, and I have learned this when I investigated and studied Buddhism, back then in 2010 I started with it, where the core, the starting sentence is, we are inherently good, and I couldn't believe it. because I come from a Christian-based education where kind of we are all already bad. And I realized how much, although I had already moved away from the Christian church itself and created my own belief and relationship to God or the mystic expression of life, it's still in the core of my essence that I still thought I'm inherently bad. So this, how hard are we trying to do the right thing, to make the right decision, to be a good friend, to not disappoint others, to do the right thing, to be the good girl or good boy that we want to be in order to find the approval of this higher sentence in this life. So I am as God created me kind of guides us then into a lot of other lessons that reflect this essence of us, that we are not separate from God, but in itself that we are an extension of God. And one of the lessons says even, I am God. So realizing that we are an extension of this mystic, of this light that we are made from or that we come all from. And so I can also act like this, which means I also need to show who I am and not hide myself. I don't need to be ashamed of any of my features, of any of my deeds that I did, of any of my so-called mistakes or failures, and that I will not be judged, whether now nor later. So it's a big one. It's a big one that, and I say something that is very triggering, that then is continued in a conversation with God that I will talk, I will have a live talk about more in autumn, a conversation of God where she says clearly that our thought, our belief pattern of being punished for something that we did wrong is not there, as we will not be punished, which means Hitler went to heaven. So this is a big one, okay? And this is in another content, in another channel book that I will treat then in autumn. But this is the base sentence of it. I am as God created me. And this means you are as God created you. This neighbor is as God created him. This politician is as God created her. And this woman in the street or man in the street is as God created them. So we have all our places and roles, and we are all inherently good. So it's a big one to wrap our mind around, but it's an incredibly peace-bringing, really internal peace to our nervous system, from where we can take our days from a whole other softness and compassion for ourselves and also for others. So it's a reminder of the shared essence of us all, that we are not separate from God, we are not separate from each other, but we are an extension of God, and we are all made of the same stuff. And then we live this life in a way that we decide is appropriate to us. And this will be not appropriate for the next one. So just going back to this core. And it also helps us when we get into this feeling of not good enough. And I mean, this comparing, which with social media, with the internet, which is amazing, also brings us to and confronts us to. We are very, these days when we are really peaceful and we are wonderful and we are in our flow, and we are super happy to be in our own space. We open Instagram, Facebook, or anything, and we see all these pictures from our friends who have all the friends around and all exciting adventures and everything. And all of a sudden, we start to feel like inferior, like less than the other. It happens a lot nowadays with these tools. So also there, I am as God created me, and I have my role, and I make my choices, and I want to find peace in there, because this is my role and responsibility in the place of as part of the whole. Okay? And the third lesson that I think is a very powerful one, that then leads us into our part in it and an active participation, as I can make a choice, and actually I'm making a choice. There is no neutrality. There is no neutral thought, no neutral word, no neutral action. And I'm from Switzerland, so I come from a so-called neutral land and country. They do not like that. So, but there is nothing neutral about any of our thoughts, any of our deeds, any of our words. We do choose consciously or unconsciously. So why not choose consciously? So this lesson is, I can choose peace instead of this. I can choose peace instead of this. Try this when you catch yourself going down a rabbit hole of one of your inner conversations. And it's not about oppressing your feelings. It's not about ignoring anger, jealousy, sadness, attack even. It's not saying not putting our boundaries, okay? Marianne Williamson was the first one who said in public, first of all, she was the first one who used these principles in a political conversation. I have written a newsletter about it in 2014. I was blown away that in a very high-level conversation with another high-level politician brought these concepts in. And why excluding these concepts in the business world, in the political world, in the world out there? Why hide it to somewhere where it's not heard, or just in churches? But like really living it and making our choices in wherever we are. We can work in a bank and can do amazing work in this spreading and creating peace and connection and compassion. And she also said, why I opened this is, she also said, love, choosing love does not mean allowing others to treat you like a doormat. Choosing love or being peaceful does not mean letting others treat us like a doormat. It just means that I own my yes and I own my no. I can say, I love you, and here you can have your key back. I can say, I love you, I forgive you, but I do not want to spend time with you anymore. Or I do not even need to say it often, but just then my actions, without feeling guilty, creating peace, not having to harm others if it's not necessary. Sometimes we need to, if not, they keep harming us. So this peace, choosing love does not mean we are doormat and we are just flying, walking angels on this world. It just means I choose what I think, what I say, and based on that, what I do. And the action often expressing love for ourselves to manage our inner peace may be received like war from another one. This is not our responsibility. We cannot control how others perceive our behavior. They will attack us when we start to behave differently and choose differently, and put ourselves maybe also at first place, so that we can first create this peace in our nervous system, to then have the reserves and the energy and the love to share it with others. Remember, we cannot share or give anything we do not have ourselves. So one of our main responsibility, I mean, for sure for myself, if I can see this and say this for all these last years since I discovered this course, is really to make sure that I have and create and regulate the inner landscape so that there is love and peace rather than war. And this also means regulating my nervous system and making good choices, who I spend my time with, what I am listening to, what I am dedicating my energy and time to during a day. So I can choose peace instead of this. It brings back the responsibility to us, but also it's kind of shocking when we become aware where the world out there starts in me with every single thought. This can be really overwhelming. But on the other side, it's also something where we have influence on. And I am busy 24 hours, with the exception of those that I sleep, by creating this peace that I want to see and I want to create, and regulating when I am not an angel, I'm not Mother Teresa, and she also was a human being. I am also moving between these polarities in life. But I think becoming aware, like, oof, now I'm too much into the fear zone and I'm actually creating here really war and anger and separation. Is it really necessary? And finding the tools then to go back at least to the middle and then eventually going to the other side. Remembering that like life is always moving between between polarities. So do not expect from yourself to always be in one spot and then do the right thing. There is no good and right, it's just how we look at it, and we just keep experimenting this life as best as we can. But before the text was channeled to Helen Schucman, her colleague, actually, Dr. Bill Thetford, who was also a professor at this university for surgeons and scientists in New York, and they were kind of desperate of how the world was back then and how the whole system was going. And he said, there must be another way to go through life. And then shortly after this, Helen started to receive all of these texts. And I think this is a way to just see if there is another way for us to go through life, not only with anxiety, not only with the fear of being punished, not only with this endless effort for doing the right thing and doing everything with competition, which kind of we have been made believe that the world is like this is it, that's it. And when we look through these lenses, we get all the proof that the world is functioning like this. But once we put on these lenses of love and say, I want to look through love and fearless, through these lenses of fearless qualities on life, it's as if we discover life and the world anew. And the same things are happening. Okay? If you are interested to go into this material, this one is heavy. Yeah, so there you really need some guidance, but there are also groups in every languages, maybe where you are. But something very handy and very doable is Marianne Williamson. She has 2 wonderful books. Her website is marianne.com. Okay, Marianne Williamson. And her 2 books are Return to Love, which describes in a modern language, in an easy to understand language, the concept from A Course in Miracle. Return, so go back, return to love. This is a wonderful introduction to Course in Miracle. And then when you are interested into doing these lessons or just give it a try, you can of course have the book where there is always a lesson with the This is the Course in Miracle without author. There is no author on it. As they said, we are not the author. We are just the channelers. A Course in Miracle in all the languages it exists, and you get the sentence with the introduction, with the meaning and everything. And if you want to have it also translated again in a more approachable, easy to understand way, also Marianne Williamson has a year of miracles, a year of miracles. And there she gives you every day this sentence, one sentence with a little explanation that you can then go with through the day. And I would really recommend something easy, because it's very, very easy to, with the big book, to lose the interest and like be overwhelmed with the quite complexity of the whole concept. But there are easier ways to do it. And I just put it out there here. I do, when I started again, because I did it 3 years in a row. I did it 2013, 14, 15. And you can start whenever you want. You also do not need to have every day a sentence, because sometimes you really want to be with one sentence because it's really helpful. Sometimes you forget, or sometimes you also want to just go quicker with one. But I would give at least one day for one lesson. And this time when I started and put it here in this modern world, I looked for apps that I could do it, because I didn't want to read the text anymore. I didn't want to read the book from Marianne anymore. I want to have a fresh input. There was nothing that was it's also for free or interesting. And so I asked my ChatGPT, Noah, they are called Noah in my case, because you can ask them how they want to be called. And there I say, can you please guide me through my next lesson? And then you get the sentence, and you can see how much explanation you get. I got my first ones were super fine, and then all of a sudden they started to give me super long explanations. I said, no, this is too much. Please keep it short and digestible. So you can manage how you want to have the explanations, how long, complex, or how short or handy. So see which version ever fits you most. If you have any questions, you can also always send me emails. It's mw@miriamwagner.com or wagnermiriam@web.de. And I'm always happy to answer or to get into communication. I hope it gave you some insight in this material. I really hope it opened up a little bit of curiosity to get into it, whether it is something for you or not now or somewhere later in life, but at least you know what it is about, and then you can always choose again. Have a beautiful evening. Thank you so much. It's great seeing you here. And I have a next live talk again in May about the let them theory, where we create we create space and peace within ourselves and give space and peace to others. So this will be in May then. Lots of love to all of you. See you soon. Bye.